The stormy night cast a dark and ominous shadow over the university campus. Professor Claire Dawson lay lifeless on the floor of her classroom, a pool of blood surrounding her head. A masked figure stood over her, breathing heavily, a bloody knife clutched in their gloved hand. "You shouldn't have gotten too close." A low whisper filled the room. The next morning, the university buzzed with students unaware of the horror that had taken place. But as the janitor opened the classroom door, he stopped, his eyes widening in terror. Screams echoed through the halls, and police sirens wailed in the distance. Detective Ethan Carter arrived at the scene, his sharp eyes scanning the room. He observed the body, noting no signs of forced entry. This wasn't a random act, it was personal. Ryan Matthews, a brilliant but troubled student, was the first suspect. Claire had been mentoring him, but rumors swirled that their relationship wasn't strictly academic. "When was the last time you saw Professor Dawson?" Detective Carter asked. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "Yesterday. We had a meeting, that's all." But Detective Carter wasn't convinced. He noticed scratches on Ryan's wrist, which Ryan quickly covered. Unbeknownst to Detective Carter, Ryan had a secret. He had been having a forbidden romance with Professor Dawson. But someone else knew, and they weren't happy about it. Lena Brooks, Ryan's girlfriend, had been watching from the shadows. A quiet, observant psychology student with a dark side, she loved Ryan and would do anything for him. When she found out about Claire, her jealousy turned deadly. As the investigation deepened, Detective Carter found a crucial clue, a deleted text message on Claire's phone. "Meet me in the classroom tonight. We need to talk." The sender was unknown, but the police recovered another message from Lena's phone. "She's ruining us. We have to fix this." Lena was brought in for questioning, her demeanor calm and collected. But when the police found blood-stained gloves hidden in her dorm, her facade crumbled. Ryan confronted Lena, shocked by the revelation. "You killed her." Lena's eyes darkened with obsession. "I did it for us." Ryan stumbled back, horrified. He had been in love with two women, but one of them was a murderer. Before he could react, Lena pulled out a knife, the same knife that had killed Claire. A struggle ensued, and the police burst in, tackling Lena to the ground. As they dragged her away, her last words sent chills down Ryan's spine. "You'll never love anyone the way you loved me." Ryan watched as Lena disappeared into the police car, knowing that his darkest nightmare had just begun. As the police car drove away, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. He had never suspected Lena of being capable of such a heinous crime. The thought of her obsession with him sent shivers down his spine. Detective Carter approached Ryan, his expression somber. "Ryan, I need to ask you some more questions. Can you come down to the station with me?" Ryan nodded, still trying to process the events that had unfolded. As he followed Detective Carter to the police station, he couldn't help but wonder what had driven Lena to commit such a brutal crime. At the station, Ryan was questioned for hours, reliving every moment of his relationship with Lena and Claire. He told Detective Carter about the secret affair, the arguments, and the threats. The detective listened intently, his eyes narrowing as he scribbled notes on a pad. As the sun began to set, Ryan was finally allowed to leave. He walked out of the station, feeling drained and emotionally exhausted. The world around him seemed to have changed, and he wasn't sure if he would ever be able to go back to the way things were before. As he walked back to his dorm, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. He quickened his pace, glancing over his shoulder, but there was no one there. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, hesitating for a moment before answering. "Hello," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then a voice spoke, sending chills down Ryan's spine. "You'll never be free of me, Ryan," the voice said. Ryan's heart racing, he spun around, trying to locate the caller. But there was no one in sight. "Who is this?" he demanded, trying to keep his voice steady. The line went dead, and Ryan was left standing alone in the darkness, wondering if he would ever be able to escape the nightmare that had begun. Ryan's mind was racing as he tried to process the ominous phone call. He couldn't shake off the feeling that Lena was still manipulating him, even from behind bars. As he walked back to his dorm, Ryan noticed a piece of paper on the ground. He picked it up, and his heart sank as he read the message scrawled on it. "I'll always be with you." Ryan crumpled the paper in his hand, feeling a sense of unease wash over him. He quickened his pace, eager to get back to the safety of his dorm room. As he entered his room, Ryan locked the door behind him and leaned against it, trying to catch his breath. He couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched, and the phone call had only added to his paranoia. Suddenly, Ryan's phone buzzed again. He hesitated for a moment before answering, his heart racing with anticipation. "Hello," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Ryan, it's Detective Carter," the voice on the other end said. "I need to see you again. We've found some new evidence in the case." Ryan's mind was racing as he tried to process the detective's words. What new evidence could they have found? And what did it mean for him? "I'll be right there," Ryan said, trying to keep his voice steady. As he hung up the phone, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that his life was about to change forever. Ryan arrived at the police station, his mind racing with questions. Detective Carter greeted him and led him to a small interrogation room. "What's this about?" Ryan asked, taking a seat. "We've found a security camera that caught a glimpse of the killer's face," Detective Carter said, pulling out a photograph. Ryan's heart skipped a beat as he looked at the grainy image. It was Lena, but her eyes seemed different, almost evil. "This doesn't prove anything," Ryan said, trying to sound calm. "Actually, it does," Detective Carter replied. "We've enhanced the image, and it matches Lena's facial structure perfectly." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. He had known Lena was capable of terrible things, but seeing her face in that photograph made it all too real. "What about the phone calls?" Ryan asked, trying to change the subject. "We're tracing the number," Detective Carter said. "But I think it's safe to say that Lena has someone on the outside helping her." Ryan's eyes widened in horror. If Lena had an accomplice, that meant he was still in danger. As Ryan left the police station, he couldn't shake off the feeling that he was being watched. He looked over his shoulder, but there was no one there. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. Ryan hesitated for a moment before answering, his heart racing with anticipation. "Hello," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You'll never be safe," a menacing voice said on the other end. Ryan's blood ran cold. Who was this? And how did they know his number? The line went dead, and Ryan was left standing alone, wondering if he would ever be able to escape the nightmare that had begun. Ryan's heart was racing as he stood on the sidewalk, his eyes scanning the crowded streets for any sign of danger. He knew he had to get out of there, and fast. He quickly made his way back to his dorm, his mind racing with thoughts of Lena and her accomplice, who was helping her, and what did they want from him? As he entered his dorm room, Ryan locked the door behind him and leaned against it, trying to catch his breath. He felt like he was living in a nightmare, and he didn't know how to wake up. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again. Ryan hesitated for a moment before answering, his heart racing with anticipation. "Hello," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Ryan, it's Detective Carter," the voice on the other end said. "We got some news. We've identified the accomplice." Ryan's eyes widened in surprise. "Who is it?" he asked. "It's someone close to you," Detective Carter said. "Someone you trust." Ryan's mind was racing as he tried to process the detective's words. Who could it be? And why would they be helping Lena? "Who is it?" Ryan demanded, his voice shaking with anger. There was a pause on the other end of the line, and then Detective Carter spoke. "It's your best friend, Alex." Ryan's world came crashing down around him. Alex? His best friend? How could he be involved in this? The line went dead, and Ryan was left standing alone, wondering if he would ever be able to trust anyone again. Ryan felt like he had been punched in the gut. Alex, his best friend since freshman year, was involved in Lena's twisted game? It couldn't be true. He tried to remember any suspicious behavior from Alex, but nothing came to mind. They had hung out just a few days ago, studying for exams and laughing together. Alex had seemed perfectly normal. Ryan's mind was racing with questions. What had Alex gotten himself into? And why was he helping Lena? He quickly grabbed his phone and dialed Alex's number. It rang several times before going to voicemail. "Alex, what's going on?" Ryan said, trying to keep his voice calm. "I need to talk to you. Call me back." Ryan waited for what felt like an eternity for Alex to return his call, but the phone remained silent. Suddenly, Ryan heard a knock at the door. He hesitated for a moment before answering. "Who is it?" he called out. "It's Alex," a voice replied. Ryan's heart skipped a beat. What was he going to say to Alex? And what was Alex going to say to him? He slowly opened the door, and Alex stood before him, a mixture of guilt and fear on his face. "Ryan, Alex started to say, but Ryan cut him off. "What's going on, Alex?" Ryan demanded. "Why are you helping Lena?" Alex took a deep breath before speaking. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone, Ryan. Lena, she has something on me. Something that could ruin my life." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "What could she possibly have on you?" Alex hesitated before answering. "I was involved in a cheating scandal last semester. Lena found out and threatened to expose me unless I helped her." Ryan's jaw dropped. "Why didn't you come to me? I would have helped you." Alex shook his head. "I was too scared, Ryan. I didn't know what to do. And then Lena started making demands, and I felt trapped." Ryan's anger turned to sympathy. He could understand why Alex felt trapped. "What did Lena ask you to do?" Ryan asked gently. Alex's eyes dropped. "She asked me to keep an eye on you, to report back to her on your movements, and to make those phone calls." Ryan's eyes widened. "You're the one who's been making those creepy phone calls?" Alex nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Ryan. I was trying to protect myself, but I ended up hurting you instead." Ryan took a deep breath, trying to process everything. He was angry, but he also felt sorry for Alex. "We'll get through this together," Ryan said finally. "But first, we need to go to the police and tell them everything." Alex nodded, a look of relief washing over his face. Thank you, Ryan. I'm so sorry again. As they walked to the police station, Ryan couldn't help but wonder what other secrets Lena had uncovered and who else was involved in her twisted game. As they arrived at the police station, Ryan and Alex were greeted by Detective Carter. The detective's expression was stern, but he nodded in approval as Ryan and Alex sat down. Good, you're here, Detective Carter said. We've got some new evidence that links Lena to the murder, but we need your help to take her down. Ryan nodded, determination in his eyes. We'll do whatever it takes. Detective Carter smiled grimly. I knew I could count on you. Now let's get down to business. As they spent the next few hours going over the evidence and making a plan, Ryan couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Lena was still out there, and he knew she wouldn't go down without a fight. But with Alex by his side and Detective Carter leading the charge, Ryan felt a sense of hope. They were going to bring Lena to justice no matter what it took. As they left the police station, Ryan turned to Alex. Thanks for coming clean, man. I know it wasn't easy. Alex nodded, a small smile on his face. I'm just glad I can make things right. Ryan clapped him on the back. We're in this together, bro. But as they walked away from the police station, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. He glanced over his shoulder, but there was no one there. Or so he thought. Lena's eyes narrowed as she watched Ryan and Alex walk away. She had been watching them for weeks, studying their every move. And now it was time to make her next move. A sinister smile spread across her face as she dialed a number on her phone. It's time to take care of Ryan once and for all, she whispered into the phone. The voice on the other end laughed, a cold, menacing sound. I'm looking forward to it, the voice said. Lena's eyes gleamed with excitement as she hung up the phone. The game was far from over. Ryan and Alex walked back to their dorm, lost in their own thoughts. They were both relieved that the truth was finally out, but they knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy. As they approached their dorm building, Ryan noticed a piece of paper taped to the door. He walked over to investigate and found a note scrawled in red ink. You'll never be safe. Ryan's heart skipped a beat as he showed the note to Alex. This is getting creepy, Alex said, his voice shaking slightly. Ryan nodded. We need to tell Detective Carter about this. As they walked back to the police station, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. He glanced over his shoulder, but there was no one there. When they arrived at the station, Detective Carter listened intently as they showed him the note. This is getting serious, he said, his expression grim. I'm going to increase the security detail around you too. You need to be careful. Ryan nodded, feeling a sense of unease wash over him. As they left the station, Ryan turned to Alex. I think we should lay low for a while, he said. Avoid any public places. Alex nodded in agreement. Sounds like a plan to me. But as they walked back to their dorm, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being herded into a trap. And then, just as they were approaching their building, Ryan heard a faint whisper in his ear. You'll never escape me. Ryan spun around, but there was no one there. Alex looked at him in concern. What's wrong? Ryan's eyes scanned the surrounding area, but he saw nothing out of the ordinary. I thought I heard something, he said, trying to brush it off. But the whisper lingered in his mind, sending a chill down his spine. They were getting closer to the truth, but the danger was getting closer too. As they entered their dorm room, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that they were being watched. He looked around the room, but everything seemed normal. Alex noticed his unease. "Hey man, what's wrong?" Ryan hesitated before speaking. "I don't know, it's just, I feel like we're being watched." Alex's expression turned serious. "We need to be careful. If Lena's still out there, we don't know what she's capable of." Ryan nodded in agreement. "Let's just stay alert, okay?" As they settled in for the night, Ryan's phone suddenly buzzed. He hesitated before answering, his heart racing with anticipation. "Hello," he said, trying to sound calm. There was a pause on the other end of the line before a voice spoke. "Ryan, it's Detective Carter. We've got some news. We've tracked down Lena's location." Ryan's eyes widened in surprise. "Where is she?" Detective Carter's voice was grim. "She's been hiding in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. We're going to raid the place tonight." Ryan's heart was racing with excitement. "Can I come?" Detective Carter hesitated before responding. "I don't think that's a good idea, Ryan. It's going to be a dangerous operation." But Ryan was determined. "I need to see this through. I need to make sure Lena pays for what she's done." Detective Carter sighed. "Okay, fine. But you need to stay back and let us handle it. You're not trained for this." Ryan nodded, even though Detective Carter couldn't see him. "I'll stay back. I promise." As he hung up the phone, Ryan turned to Alex. "It's going down tonight. We're going to catch Lena." Alex's eyes widened in surprise. "What? How?" Ryan filled him in on the details, his excitement growing by the minute. As they waited for nightfall, Ryan couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. They were finally going to bring Lena to justice. But as they made their way to the abandoned warehouse, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. And then, just as they arrived at the warehouse, Ryan heard a faint whisper in his ear. "You'll never take me alive." Ryan spun around, but there was no one there. Alex looked at him in concern. "What's wrong?" Ryan's eyes scanned the surrounding area, his heart racing with anticipation. "It's Lena," he whispered. "She's here." Ryan's eyes locked onto the warehouse entrance, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel Lena's presence, her malevolent energy emanating from within. Detective Carter appeared beside him, his gun drawn. "Ryan, stay back. Let us handle this." Ryan nodded, but his feet seemed rooted to the spot. He couldn't tear his eyes away from the warehouse entrance. Suddenly, Lena emerged from the shadows, a maniacal grin spreading across her face. "You'll never take me alive," she spat, her eyes flashing with defiance. Detective Carter stepped forward, his gun trained on Lena. "Lena, surrender now. It's over." Lena's laughter echoed through the night air, sending chills down Ryan's spine. "You think it's over?" she sneered. "It's just beginning." With a sudden movement, Lena pulled out a gun from behind her back and aimed it at Ryan. "You're the one who's been causing me so much trouble," she hissed. Ryan's heart stopped as he stared down the barrel of the gun. He was frozen in terror, unable to move or speak. But then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw Alex tackle Lena to the ground, wrestling the gun out of her hand. Detective Carter and his team rushed forward, surrounding Lena and pinning her to the ground. "It's over," Detective Carter said, his voice firm. As the police dragged Lena away, Ryan felt a wave of relief wash over him. It was finally over. But as he turned to thank Alex, he saw a look of shock on his friend's face. "Alex, what's wrong?" Ryan asked. Alex's eyes were fixed on Lena, who was being dragged away by the police. "Ryan, I think I just saw something," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What is it?" Ryan asked, his heart starting to pound again. Alex's eyes locked onto Ryan's. "Lena's smile," he said. "It was the same smile I saw on Claire's face." Ryan's blood ran cold. What did Alex mean? And what did it have to do with Claire's murder? Ryan's mind was racing as he tried to process what Alex had just said. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. Alex hesitated before speaking. "I mean, I saw Claire's body after she was murdered. And when I looked at Lena just now, I saw the same smile on her face. It was like Claire's smile was still there, even after she was dead." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. "That's impossible," he said, trying to rationalize what Alex was saying. But Alex shook his head. "I know what I saw, Ryan. And I think Lena might have been possessed by Claire's spirit." Ryan's eyes widened in shock.
"What?"
"That's crazy." But Alex's expression was dead serious. "I know it sounds crazy, but think about it. Lena's behavior has been getting more and more erratic. And that smile, it was like Claire's spirit was still alive, still smiling." Ryan's mind was reeling as he tried to process what Alex was saying. Possession? Was that even possible? But before he could ask any more questions, Detective Carter approached them. "Ryan, Alex, I need to talk to you about something." Ryan and Alex exchanged a nervous glance before turning to face the detective. "What is it?" Ryan asked. Detective Carter's expression was grim. "We've been going over the evidence, and, well, it looks like Lena might not have been acting alone." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" Detective Carter hesitated before speaking. "We found a piece of evidence that suggests, well, it suggests that Claire might have been involved in her own murder." Ryan's jaw dropped.
"What?"
"That's impossible." But Detective Carter's expression was dead serious. "I know it sounds crazy, but the evidence is there. And I think we're dealing with something much bigger than we initially thought." Ryan's mind was reeling as he tried to process the new information. "What kind of evidence?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly. Detective Carter hesitated before speaking. "We found a journal belonging to Claire. It appears to be a record of her plans and her accomplices." Ryan's eyes widened in shock. "Accomplices? You mean Claire was working with someone?" Detective Carter nodded. "It looks that way. And I think Lena might have been one of them." Ryan felt like he had been punched in the gut. "But why?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Detective Carter's expression was grim. "I don't know yet, but I intend to find out. Ryan, I need you to come down to the station and take a look at the journal. Maybe you can shed some light on what's going on." Ryan nodded, still trying to process the new information. He knew that he had to get to the bottom of this, no matter what it took. As he walked to the police station with Detective Carter, Ryan couldn't shake off the feeling that he was missing something. Something big. And then, just as they were about to enter the station, Ryan's phone buzzed. He hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello," he said, his voice cautious. There was a pause on the other end of the line before a voice spoke. "Ryan, it's me. Claire." Ryan's blood ran cold. "Claire? But you're dead." The voice on the other end of the line laughed. "Am I?" Ryan's heart was racing as he tried to process what he was hearing. "Claire, is that really you?" he asked, his voice shaking. The voice on the other end of the line laughed again. "Of course it's me, Ryan. And I'm not dead. At least, not yet. Ryan felt like he had been punched in the gut. What do you mean? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. I mean that I've been playing a little game with you, Ryan, Claire said, her voice dripping with malice. A game of cat and mouse. And you've been playing right into my hands. Ryan's mind was reeling as he tried to process what Claire was saying. Why? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Because I wanted to see how far you would go to uncover the truth, Claire said. And I have to say, I'm impressed. You're a lot smarter than I thought you were. Ryan felt a surge of anger at Claire's words. You're sick, he spat. You're using people's lives as a game. Claire laughed again. Oh, Ryan, you're so naive. This isn't a game. This is real life. And in real life, people do whatever it takes to survive. Ryan's eyes narrowed as he listened to Claire's words. He knew that he had to keep her talking, had to keep her distracted until he could figure out what to do next. So, what's the point of all this? Ryan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. What do you want from me? There was a pause on the other end of the line before Claire spoke again. I want you to meet me at the old warehouse on the outskirts of town, she said. Come alone. Ryan's heart sank as he realized what Claire was asking him to do. But he knew that he had no choice. He had to go to the warehouse, had to confront Claire once and for all. I'll be there, Ryan said, trying to keep his voice steady. Claire laughed again. I knew you would.
See you soon, Ryan.
The line went dead, and Ryan was left standing alone, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that he had to go to the warehouse, but he also knew that he might not come out alive. Ryan stood there for a moment, his mind racing with thoughts of what might happen at the warehouse. He knew he had to go, but he was scared. Detective Carter's voice broke the silence. Ryan, what's going on? Ryan took a deep breath and filled the detective in on the conversation with Claire. Detective Carter's expression turned grim. We'll get a team together and meet you at the warehouse. But Ryan, I need you to promise me one thing. What's that? Ryan asked. You have to stay safe. Don't go in there without us. Ryan nodded, knowing that he had to be careful. But he also knew that he couldn't just sit back and wait for the police to handle everything. He had to take matters into his own hands. I'll be careful, Ryan promised. Detective Carter nodded. I'll meet you at the warehouse in 20 minutes. Ryan nodded and took off towards the warehouse, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that he was taking a risk, but he was determined to see this through. As he approached the warehouse, Ryan could feel a sense of unease in the air. The building loomed before him, its windows dark and empty. Ryan took a deep breath and stepped inside, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. The warehouse was quiet, except for the sound of footsteps echoing off the walls. Ryan followed the sound of the footsteps, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew that he was getting close. And then suddenly he saw her. Claire was standing in front of him, a smile spreading across her face. Welcome, Ryan, she said, her voice dripping with malice. I've been waiting for you. Ryan's eyes locked onto Claire's, his mind racing with thoughts of what might happen next. He could see the malice in her eyes, the same look he had seen in Lena's eyes. What do you want from me? Ryan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Claire's smile grew wider. I want to show you something, she said, her voice dripping with excitement. Something that will change everything. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What is it? Claire's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Come and see," she said, beckoning Ryan to follow her. Ryan hesitated for a moment, but his curiosity got the better of him. He followed Claire deeper into the warehouse, his heart pounding in his chest. As they walked, Ryan noticed that the warehouse was filled with old computers and machinery. It looked like some kind of abandoned laboratory. Claire stopped in front of a large metal door. "This is it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is what I wanted to show you." Ryan's eyes locked onto the door. "What's behind it?" Claire's smile grew wider. "You'll see," she said, pushing the door open. Ryan's eyes widened as he saw what was behind the door. It was a large room filled with computers and machinery, but it was what was in the center of the room that made Ryan's blood run cold. It was a large machine that looked like some kind of mind control device. Ryan's eyes locked onto it, his mind racing with thoughts of what Claire had planned. "What is this?" Ryan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Claire's eyes sparkled with excitement. "This is the future," she said. "This is how I'm going to change the world." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "You're not going to change anything," he said, trying to sound brave. "You're going to get caught." Claire's smile grew wider. "We'll see about that," she said, her voice dripping with malice. Suddenly, Ryan heard footsteps behind him. He turned to see Detective Carter and his team entering the room, their guns drawn. "It's over," Detective Carter said, his voice firm. "Claire, you're under arrest." Claire's smile faltered for a moment, but then she laughed. "You'll never take me alive," she said, her voice dripping with malice. And with that, Claire reached for a button on the machine and pressed it. The room was filled with a bright light, and Ryan felt himself being pulled towards the machine. Everything went black. Ryan's world went dark, and he felt himself being pulled into a vortex of confusion and disorientation. He tried to struggle, but his body felt heavy and unresponsive. When he finally came to, Ryan found himself in a strange, dimly lit room. He was lying on a narrow bed, and his head was pounding with a dull ache. As he sat up, Ryan saw Claire standing in the corner of the room, a smug smile spreading across her face. "Welcome back," she said, her voice dripping with malice. "I'm glad you could join me." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Where am I?" he demanded. Claire chuckled. "You're my little playground," she said. "A place where I can experiment and have a little fun." Ryan's eyes scanned the room, taking in the various machines and devices that lined the walls. He saw computers, wires, and strange contraptions that he couldn't even begin to understand. "What is this place?" Ryan asked, his voice shaking with fear. Claire's smile grew wider. "This is where I've been working on my latest project," she said. "A project that's going to change the world." Ryan's eyes locked onto Claire's. "What project?" he demanded. Claire chuckled. "Oh, you'll see," she said. "You'll see soon enough." And with that, Claire turned and walked out of the room, leaving Ryan alone and frightened. As he sat there, Ryan's mind racing with thoughts of escape and rescue, he heard a faint noise coming from outside the room. It sounded like footsteps, heavy and deliberate. Ryan's heart skipped a beat as he realized that someone, or something, was coming for him. Ryan's eyes were fixed on the door as the footsteps grew louder. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, and his mind was racing with thoughts of what could be on the other side of the door. As the door creaked open, Ryan saw a figure looming in the shadows. The figure stepped forward, revealing a tall, imposing man with a menacing grin on his face. "Hello, Ryan," the man said, his voice dripping with malice. "My name is Victor, and I'm Claire's partner in crime." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "What do you want from me?" he demanded. Victor chuckled. "Oh, we want a lot from you, Ryan. You see, Claire's been working on a little project, and you're the key to making it happen." Ryan's mind was racing with thoughts of what Claire's project could be. "What is it?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Victor's grin grew wider. "All in good time, Ryan. All in good time." With that, Victor reached out and grabbed Ryan, dragging him out of the room and down a long, dark corridor. Ryan struggled and kicked, but Victor was too strong. As they walked, Ryan saw strange machines and devices lining the walls. He saw computers and wires and strange contraptions that he couldn't even begin to understand. "What is this place?" Ryan asked, his voice shaking with fear. Victor chuckled. "This is Claire's laboratory," he said, "where she conducts her experiments." Ryan's eyes widened in horror. "Experiments?" he repeated. Victor nodded. "Yes, Ryan. Claire's been working on a way to control people's minds, and you're the key to making it happen." Ryan's blood ran cold. He knew he had to escape, but how? Ryan's mind was racing with thoughts of escape and rescue. He knew he had to think fast, or he would be trapped in Claire's laboratory forever. As Victor dragged him deeper into the laboratory, Ryan saw more and more disturbing sights. He saw people hooked up to machines, their eyes glazed over with a blank, mindless stare. "What have you done to them?" Ryan asked, his voice shaking with horror. Victor chuckled. "Oh, they're just test subjects," he said. "Claire's been experimenting on them, trying to perfect her mind control technique." Ryan's eyes widened in disgust. "You're monsters," he spat. Victor shrugged. "We're just trying to advance the science," he said. "And you're going to help us." Ryan knew he had to think fast. He looked around the laboratory, trying to find something, anything, that he could use to escape. That's when he saw it, a fire alarm on the wall, just a few feet away. Without hesitation, Ryan reached out and pulled the alarm. The laboratory was immediately filled with the sound of blaring sirens and flashing lights. Victor's eyes widened in surprise. "What have you done?" he shouted. Ryan took advantage of the distraction to break free from Victor's grasp. He ran as fast as he could, dodging through the rows of machines and equipment. He could hear Victor shouting behind him, but Ryan didn't look back. He kept running, his heart pounding in his chest, until he saw a glimmer of light ahead. It was the exit door. Ryan burst through it, gasping with relief as he emerged into the cool night air. He didn't stop running until he was blocks away from the laboratory. Finally, he slowed down, gasping for breath. He had escaped, but he knew that Claire and Victor would be looking for him. He had to find a way to stop them before it was too late. Ryan pulled out his phone and dialed Detective Carter's number. It rang several times before the detective answered. "Detective Carter, it's Ryan," he said, trying to catch his breath. "I escaped from the laboratory." Detective Carter's voice was firm. "Ryan, where are you? We'll send someone to pick you up." Ryan looked around, trying to get his bearings.
I'm not sure, he said.
I ran for blocks, but I think I'm close to the city center. Detective Carter's voice was reassuring. Don't worry, Ryan. We'll find you. Just stay where you are. Ryan nodded, even though Detective Carter couldn't see him. Okay, he said. I'll wait. As he waited, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He looked around, but saw nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't until he heard the sound of footsteps behind him that Ryan realized he wasn't alone. He spun around, his heart racing with fear. And that's when he saw her, Claire, standing in front of him with a smile on her face. Hello, Ryan, she said, her voice dripping with malice. I see you managed to escape. But don't worry, I'll make sure you don't get away again. Ryan's eyes narrowed. You're not going to get away with this, Claire, he said, trying to sound brave. Claire's smile grew wider. Oh, I think I will, she said. You see, I have a little surprise waiting for you. And with that, Claire pulled out a small device from her pocket and pressed a button. Ryan felt a strange sensation wash over him, and suddenly he was unable to move. No, he whispered, trying to struggle against the device's effects. Claire's smile grew wider. Yes, she said. You're going to make a perfect test subject. And with that, everything went black. Ryan's world went dark, and he felt himself being dragged away. He tried to struggle, but his body was paralyzed. When he came to, Ryan found himself back in the laboratory, strapped to a table. Claire was standing over him, a smile on her face. Welcome back, Ryan, she said. I'm glad you're feeling better. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What do you want from me? He spat. Claire's smile grew wider. Oh, I want to use you to test my mind control device, she said. You're going to be my first human subject. Ryan's eyes widened in horror. No, he whispered. Claire's smile grew wider. Yes, she said. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. Ryan struggled against the restraints, but they were too strong. He was trapped. Just as Claire was about to activate the device, the laboratory was filled with the sound of gunfire and shouting. Ryan's eyes widened as he saw Detective Carter and his team bursting into the laboratory. Claire, it's over, Detective Carter shouted. You're under arrest. Claire's smile faltered, and she took a step back. But then, her eyes narrowed, and she reached for the device. No, Ryan whispered, trying to warn Detective Carter. But it was too late. Claire activated the device, and Ryan felt a strange sensation wash over him. He tried to struggle, but his body was paralyzed. And then, everything went black. When Ryan came to, he was lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by Detective Carter and his team. Ryan, can you hear me? Detective Carter asked. Ryan nodded, still trying to clear his head. We got Claire, Detective Carter said. She's going to face justice. Ryan's eyes widened as he remembered the device. The device, he whispered. Detective Carter's expression turned grim. We destroyed it, he said. But Ryan, we need to talk about what happened. You were under Claire's control for a while. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? He asked. Detective Carter hesitated before speaking. Ryan, while you were under Claire's control, you did some things. Things that could get you in trouble. Ryan's eyes widened in horror. What did I do? He whispered. Detective Carter's expression turned sympathetic. Ryan, I think it's best if we talk about this later. You're still recovering. Ryan nodded, still trying to process what had happened. He knew that he had been under Claire's control, but he had no idea what he had done. And as he lay there, trying to piece together the events of the past few days, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Something that he couldn't quite remember. As Ryan lay in the hospital bed, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He kept trying to remember what had happened while he was under Claire's control, but his memories were hazy. Detective Carter came back into the room, a serious look on his face. "Ryan, I need to ask you some questions," he said. Ryan nodded, trying to focus. "Okay," he said. Detective Carter pulled out a notebook and flipped through the pages. "Ryan, do you remember anything about the night of the party?" he asked. Ryan's eyes narrowed. "The party," he repeated. Detective Carter nodded. "Yes, the party at the warehouse. Do you remember anything about that night?" Ryan's mind was a blank. "No," he said. "I don't remember anything." Detective Carter's expression turned skeptical. "Ryan, we have evidence that suggests you were at the party that night, and we have witnesses who place you at the scene of the crime." Ryan's eyes widened in shock. "What crime?" he asked. Detective Carter hesitated before speaking. "Ryan, we believe that you may have been involved in the murder of Alex." Ryan's world went dark. "No," he whispered. "That's not possible." Detective Carter's expression turned sympathetic. "Ryan, I know this is hard to hear, but we need to investigate this further." Ryan's mind was reeling. He knew he hadn't killed Alex, but the evidence seemed to suggest otherwise. As Detective Carter continued to question him, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He knew he hadn't committed the crime, but he couldn't remember what had really happened that night. And then, just as Detective Carter was about to leave, Ryan remembered something. A small detail that had been nagging at the back of his mind. "Wait," Ryan said, his voice shaking. "I remember something." Detective Carter turned back to him, a curious expression on his face. "What is it?" he asked. Ryan took a deep breath. "I remember seeing someone else at the party that night. Someone who looked just like me." Detective Carter's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" he asked. Ryan's eyes locked onto the detective's. "I mean that I think I have a twin brother," he said. "And I think he's the one who committed the crime." Detective Carter's expression changed from skepticism to surprise. "A twin brother?" he repeated. Ryan nodded. "Yes, I'm sure of it. I remember seeing him at the party, and he looked identical to me." Detective Carter's eyes narrowed. "Ryan, we didn't find any evidence of a twin brother. Are you sure you're not just trying to cover your tracks?" Ryan shook his head. "No, I'm telling you the truth. I know what I saw." Detective Carter sighed. "Okay, Ryan, I'll look into it. But in the meantime, I need you to stay here and cooperate with the investigation." Ryan nodded, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. He knew he had to clear his name, and he was willing to do whatever it took. As Detective Carter left the room, Ryan couldn't help but wonder about his twin brother. Who was he? And what had he done? Ryan's mind was racing with questions, but he knew he had to stay calm and focused. He was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. Just then, a nurse came into the room with a cup of water. "Here you go, Ryan," she said with a smile. Ryan took the cup and nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude towards the nurse. As he took a sip of the water, Ryan noticed something strange. The nurse's ID badge read Lena. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. "Lena," he repeated. The nurse's expression changed from friendly to fearful. Ryan, I can explain, she stammered. Ryan's mind was racing. What was Lena doing here? And what did she have to do with his twin brother? Ryan's eyes locked onto Lena's. Tell me the truth, he demanded. Lena's eyes darted around the room as if she was searching for an escape. Ryan, I didn't mean to hurt you, she stammered. Ryan's grip on the cup tightened. What do you mean? He demanded. Lena took a deep breath. I was working with Claire, she admitted. We were trying to perfect the mind control device. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. You were involved in the experiment? He repeated. Lena nodded, tears streaming down her face. I was, Ryan. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what Claire was planning. Ryan's mind was reeling. He couldn't believe that Lena, the nurse who had been taking care of him, was involved in the experiment. Why did you help Claire? Ryan asked, his voice shaking with anger. Lena's eyes dropped to the floor. I was in debt to Claire, she admitted. She had something on me, and I had to do what she said. Ryan's grip on the cup tightened. What did she have on you? He demanded. Lena hesitated before speaking. She had evidence of my past, she said. Evidence that could ruin my life. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What evidence? He repeated. Lena's eyes locked onto Ryan's. I used to work for a pharmaceutical company, she admitted. I was involved in some shady dealings, and Claire found out. Ryan's mind was racing. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Just then, Detective Carter burst into the room. Lena, you're under arrest, he said, handcuffs at the ready. Lena's eyes widened in shock as Detective Carter led her away. Ryan watched as they left, his mind still reeling from the revelation. He couldn't believe that Lena, the nurse who had been taking care of him, was involved in the experiment. As he sat there, trying to process what had just happened, Ryan's eyes landed on a piece of paper on the bedside table. It was a note, written in Lena's handwriting. Ryan, I'm sorry, the note read. Meet me in the hospital parking garage at midnight if you want to know the truth. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What did Lena mean? And what truth was she talking about? He looked at the clock on the wall. It was already 11:45. Ryan's mind was made up. He was going to meet Lena in the parking garage and find out what she had to say. Ryan made his way to the hospital parking garage, his heart racing with anticipation. He had no idea what Lena wanted to tell him, but he was determined to find out. As he arrived at the parking garage, Ryan saw Lena waiting for him by the elevators. She was dressed in a black jacket and jeans, and her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Ryan, thank you for coming, Lena said, her voice barely above a whisper. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What do you want to tell me? He asked. Lena hesitated before speaking. I know you're looking for answers about your past, she said, and I think I can help you. Ryan's eyes widened in surprise. What do you know about my past? He asked. Lena took a deep breath. I know that you're not who you think you are, she said. You're not Ryan Thompson. Ryan's mind was reeling. What are you talking about? He asked. Lena's eyes locked onto Ryan's. You're a clone, she said. A clone of the original Ryan Thompson. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. A clone, he repeated. Lena nodded. Yes, Ryan. You were created as part of a secret government experiment, and I think I can help you uncover the truth. Ryan's mind was racing with questions. Why are you telling me this? He asked. Lena's eyes dropped to the floor. Because I'm sorry for what I did, she said. I was wrong to help Claire, and I want to make it right. Ryan's eyes narrowed. How can I trust you? He asked. Lena's eyes locked onto Ryan's. You don't have to trust me, she said. But I'm willing to risk everything to help you uncover the truth. Ryan hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. But something about Lena's words resonated with him. He decided to take a chance and trust her. Okay, Ryan said. I'll listen. Lena nodded, a small smile on her face. Let's get out of here, she said. We have a lot of work to do. Ryan followed Lena out of the parking garage and into the night. They walked in silence for a few blocks until they reached a small cafe on the outskirts of town. Lena pushed open the door and gestured for Ryan to enter. Inside, the cafe was dimly lit, with only a few patrons scattered about. Lena led Ryan to a table in the back, where a figure in a hoodie was sitting. The figure looked up as they approached, and Ryan saw that it was a woman with piercing green eyes. This is Dr. Samantha Taylor, Lena said. She's a scientist who used to work on the cloning project. Dr. Taylor nodded at Ryan. Hello, she said. I've been expecting you. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? He asked. Dr. Taylor leaned forward. I mean that I've been watching you, Ryan. I've been watching you for a long time. Ryan's mind was racing. Why? He asked. Dr. Taylor's eyes locked onto Ryan's. Because you're special, Ryan. You're the first clone to ever exhibit free will. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. What do you mean? He asked. Dr. Taylor smiled. I mean that you're not just a copy of the original Ryan Thompson. You're a unique individual with your own thoughts and feelings. Ryan's mind was reeling. He had so many questions, but he didn't know where to start. Dr. Taylor leaned forward, her eyes locked onto Ryan's. We have a lot to talk about, Ryan. But first, we need to get you out of here. You're not safe. Ryan's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? He asked. Dr. Taylor's expression turned serious. I mean that the government is looking for you, Ryan. They want to capture you and study you. Ryan's heart was racing. He knew that he had to get out of there. Fast. Let's go, he said, standing up. Dr. Taylor nodded, and the three of them quickly exited the cafe, disappearing into the night. As they walked, Dr. Taylor explained that she had been working on a top-secret project to create clones with free will. But when the government found out, they shut down the project and ordered the clones to be destroyed. But you survived, Dr. Taylor said, looking at Ryan with a mixture of amazement and curiosity. And now, you're the only one who can help us expose the truth. Ryan's mind was racing with questions, but before he could ask any of them, Dr. Taylor stopped suddenly and looked around nervously. What's wrong? Ryan asked, feeling a sense of unease. Dr. Taylor's voice was barely above a whisper. I think we're being followed. Ryan's eyes scanned the surrounding area, but he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Lena, however, seemed to sense something. She grabbed Ryan's arm and pulled him into a nearby alleyway. As they caught their breath, Ryan heard the sound of footsteps echoing off the walls of the alleyway. It was a faint sound, but it was getting louder. Dr. Taylor's eyes locked onto Ryan's. We have to get out of here, she said. Now. Ryan nodded, and the three of them took off down the alleyway, the sound of footsteps getting closer and closer behind them. As they ran, Ryan's heart was racing with fear. He didn't know who was chasing them, but He knew that they had to get away. Suddenly, Lena stopped and pulled Ryan into a nearby doorway. Dr. Taylor followed close behind, her eyes scanning the surrounding area nervously. "What is it?" Ryan whispered, his heart still racing with fear. Lena's voice was barely above a whisper. "I think I saw a way out." Ryan's eyes followed Lena's gaze, and he saw a small window high up on the wall. It was their only chance for escape. Without hesitation, Ryan nodded, and the three of them made a run for the window. They climbed up, their hearts pounding with fear, and squeezed through the narrow opening just as their pursuers were about to catch up to them. As they dropped down to the ground on the other side, Ryan looked up to see a group of shadowy figures peering out of the window, their eyes fixed on him with a sinister glare. Ryan's heart was still racing with fear, but he knew that they had to keep moving. They had to get as far away from their pursuers as possible. Without a word, the three of them took off into the night, their footsteps echoing off the walls as they disappeared into the darkness. As they ran, Ryan's mind was racing with questions. Who were their pursuers? What did they want? And how were they going to get away? Dr. Taylor seemed to sense Ryan's unease. "We'll be okay," she said, her voice breathless. "We just need to get to a safe house." Lena nodded, her eyes scanning the surrounding area. "I know a place," she said. "Follow me." The three of them ran for what felt like hours, their footsteps echoing off the walls of the buildings they passed. Finally, they arrived at a small, nondescript house on the outskirts of town. Lena produced a key and unlocked the door, gesturing for Ryan and Dr. Taylor to enter. Inside, the house was dimly lit, with only a few pieces of furniture scattered about. Dr. Taylor locked the door behind them and leaned against it, her eyes closed in relief. "We're safe," she said. "For now." Ryan looked around, taking in their surroundings. "What is this place?" he asked. Lena smiled. "It's a safe house," she said. "A place where we can hide out and plan our next move." Ryan nodded, his mind still racing with questions. But before he could ask any of them, Dr. Taylor spoke up. "Ryan, we need to talk," she said, her voice serious. "We need to talk about your past." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "What about my past?" he asked. Dr. Taylor took a deep breath. "Ryan, you're not just a clone," she said. "You're a clone with a purpose." Ryan's eyes widened in surprise. "What do you mean?" he asked. Dr. Taylor's eyes locked onto Ryan's. "You were created to be a soldier," she said. "A soldier in a secret war." Ryan's mind was reeling. A secret war? What did Dr. Taylor mean? But before he could ask any questions, Lena spoke up. "Ryan, we need to be careful," she said. "We don't know who we can trust." Ryan nodded, his eyes scanning the room. He knew that they were in danger, and he knew that they had to be careful. But he also knew that he had to uncover the truth. He had to know more about his past, and he had to know more about the secret war that Dr. Taylor had mentioned. Ryan's eyes locked onto Dr. Taylor's. "Tell me more," he said, his voice firm. "Tell me everything." Dr. Taylor nodded, taking a deep breath. "Ryan, you were created as part of a secret government program," she began. The program was designed to create super soldiers using advanced genetic engineering and mind control techniques. Ryan's eyes widened in shock. "Mind control techniques," he repeated. Dr. Taylor nodded. "Yes, Ryan. The program was designed to create soldiers who could be controlled remotely, using advanced technology. Ryan's mind was reeling. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Dr. Taylor continued, her voice steady. But something went wrong, Ryan. You began to exhibit free will, despite the mind control programming. Ryan's eyes locked onto Dr. Taylor's. What happened to the other clones? He asked. Dr. Taylor's expression turned somber. They were terminated, Ryan. The government deemed them too unstable to continue. Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. He couldn't believe that he had been part of such a sinister program, but he knew that he had to keep moving forward. He had to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. Dr. Taylor, I need to know more, Ryan said, his voice firm. I need to know what happened to me and why I'm still alive. Dr. Taylor nodded, a small smile on her face. I'll tell you everything, Ryan, she said. But first, we need to get out of here. We're not safe. Ryan nodded, his eyes scanning the room. He knew that they had to move fast before their pursuers caught up with them. But as they turned to leave, Ryan heard a faint noise coming from outside. It sounded like footsteps, heavy and deliberate. Ryan's heart sank. They had been found. Without hesitation, Ryan grabbed Dr. Taylor and Lena, pulling them towards the back door. We have to get out of here now, he shouted, as the sound of footsteps grew louder. But as they reached the door, Ryan realized that it was locked. They were trapped. And then the lights went out, plunging the room into darkness. Ryan's heart was racing as he tried to make sense of what was happening. He heard the sound of footsteps getting closer and closer, and he knew that they had to get out of there, fast. He felt his way through the darkness, trying to find the door handle. But as he reached for it, he realized that it was no longer there. Suddenly, a faint light flickered on, illuminating the room. Ryan saw that they were surrounded by a group of heavily armed men, their faces obscured by masks. Dr. Taylor and Lena were frozen in terror, their eyes fixed on the men. Ryan knew that he had to act fast, or they would all be killed. Without hesitation, Ryan launched himself at the men, using his martial arts training to take them down. But there were too many of them, and soon he found himself overwhelmed. Just as all hope seemed lost, Ryan heard the sound of gunfire, and the men began to fall. He looked up to see Detective Carter and his team, armed and ready to take on the attackers. Ryan's eyes locked onto Detective Carter's, and he saw a glimmer of recognition. "Ryan, get out of here," Detective Carter shouted. "We'll take care of this." Ryan didn't need to be told twice. He grabbed Dr. Taylor and Lena, and together they made a run for the door. As they emerged into the bright sunlight, Ryan felt a sense of relief wash over him. They had made it out alive. But as they looked back at the house, Ryan saw something that made his blood run cold. A figure standing in the window, watching them. It was Claire. Ryan's eyes locked onto Claire's, and he knew that this was far from over. Ryan's eyes locked onto Claire's, and he knew that this was far from over. But for now, he had to focus on getting Dr. Taylor and Lena to safety. Detective Carter and his team escorted them to a secure location where they could finally begin to unravel the truth about Ryan's past and the sinister forces that had created him. As they sat in the safe house, surrounded by the detective and his team, Ryan finally felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that he still had a long way to go, but for the first time in his life, he felt like he was in control of his own destiny. Dr. Taylor smiled at him, her eyes shining with tears. "You're free, Ryan," she said. "You're finally free." Ryan nodded, feeling a sense of gratitude towards the doctor and Detective Carter. He knew that he owed them his life. As they sat in silence for a moment, Ryan's eyes drifted back to the window, where he had last seen Claire. He knew that she was still out there, waiting for her chance to strike. But Ryan was ready for her. He was ready to face whatever lay ahead, knowing that he had the support of his new friends and allies. And as he looked out into the unknown, Ryan smiled, feeling a sense of hope and determination that he had never felt before. He was Ryan, and he was finally free to be himself. Years went by, and Ryan's life was transformed. He worked with Detective Carter and Dr. Taylor to bring down the corrupt government agency that had created him. Claire was finally caught and brought to justice, and Ryan was able to find closure and move on with his life. Ryan's unique abilities and skills made him a valuable asset to the detectives' team, and he became a key player in solving crimes and fighting against corruption. Dr. Taylor continued to work with Ryan, helping him to understand and control his abilities. She also became a mentor and a friend to him. Ryan's relationship with Lena blossomed into romance, and they eventually got married and started a family. Ryan's story was a testament to the human spirit's ability to overcome adversity and find redemption. He had been created as a tool for destruction, but he had chosen to use his gifts for good. And as he looked back on his journey, Ryan knew that he had finally found his true purpose in life: to protect and serve, and to fight